This video is brought to you by my channel members. Huge thank you to Marissa, Sanji, and Anita. Hello everyone, it's Fairiekin. Do you have issues? I know I do! One of my issues is broken neck pegs, and clearly you have that issue too, because this is one of the questions that I get asked most, is, how do I fix a broken neck peg? And I don't blame you. It's disgusting. So how does a broken neck peg occur? I heated up the head in boiling water, I pull it off slowly, and it still broke. Sometimes it's unavoidable. That can either mean that 1, you didn't soften the head enough, or the peg inside was already damaged. I think that's what happened in this case, because it let go really fast. Or, I don't know, maybe the doll gods just hate us sometimes. So, how do I fix this? The neck peg itself isn't what's broken, it's the neck peg. This is what keeps the little green part attached inside of the neck. So we have to find a way to replace this. This is the only method I know, so if anybody has any other methods, feel free to leave them below. So for this you will need some wire cutters, epoxy sculpt or glue, and a hand drill or something of the kind. I used to use a hot needle tool to melt a hole into the neck, but I've upgraded to a hand drill, officially. I will be drilling into the front of the neck instead of the side, because if you go into the side, it splits open the plastic seam here. Here's an example of that. I did this through the side and used super glue to hold it in too, which does work, but you can see that it split. I mark the points of entry with a Sharpie so that I know where I'm aiming. And then I start drilling. I recommend using a drill bit or whatever that's the same size as your wire, because this bit is a little bit too big. It worked, but there is a better way. And here's where the neck breaks further, which tells me that that's why the peg broke in the first place. Because it was already cracked in this area, apparently. Anyway, this is fixable with the method that I'm using anyway, so it's fine. I cut a length of wire that's just long enough to go through the neck without poking out either side. Now I go in with epoxy sculpt. I mix up equal parts A and B of epoxy. I put the neck peg itself in, and then put the wire through that. And then I use the epoxy to fix that all in place, and fix up the gap in the plastic as well. Once the epoxy is in the holes and surrounding the wire to hold it in, I use water to smooth out the transition between epoxy and plastic. I let the epoxy cure for about 8 hours, and then I sand it down to make sure everything is smooth. Now you can paint over the epoxy or glue, or cover it with layers of pastels. I didn't do that with this one just because I'm not sure what I'm going to use this doll for yet, so I didn't want to do anything that I'd later have to undo or would be unnecessary. So, a few tips to help you avoid this situation. Number 1, there's a few different ways to heat up the head. I see a lot of artists use hair dryers. This footage is from Dolly Mixtures. Go make sure to check out their channel. They will be listed below. Thank you for letting me use your footage, Lee. I appreciate it. And others, me, use boiling water, because I do not own a hair dryer. Why, hello, Claudine. I'll be using you as a test subject. So to review, how should I go about removing your head? Should I A, heat up your head just enough to pull it off, B, just go for it, C, heat it up so that it's visibly squishy so that there's almost no way it can break, or 5, none of that because it's too scary? If you said C, heat it up so that it's visibly squishy so that there's almost no way it can break, you'd be right! So you'll need a doll that you can work on, a towel to use as a barrier between your hands and the head, and whatever you're using to heat up the vinyl. I use boiling water. I dip the head into the boiling water and leave it for at least 2 minutes. And then I grip the head with the towel. I try to grip it close to the neck opening so that I have a solid grip that puts less stress on the neck peg. And then I gently pull it out. Remember not to twist it because that could potentially damage the neck peg further. And hopefully it didn't break. And then this is optional, but I figured I'd mention it. I usually clip the neck peg down so that it's easier to get it back on. You don't have to do this, but I recommend doing it if you do the face up while the head is off of the body. I never do that because it scares me. So there you have it, a fixed neck peg just for you. I hope this helped. Again, if there's any tips or tricks that anybody else has, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Love ya. Bye!